Welcome, friends. I'm Kate, and this is Unwind Yoga. We are going to unwind and do some yoga and relax and just let everything go. How about that? Sounds great. All right, to start, we're going to take a moment to check in with the body, see how we're feeling, see what's going on, see what you notice. So find a nice, comfortable seated position. And if sitting on the floor is not comfortable, you can sit in a chair. We can do a lot of these poses with a chair if you want. I can give you some clues as we go on about how to do that. But let's start first by checking in with the body. And then let's check in with the breath. So body feels whatever you're noticing. And then how's the breath? What is going on in the breath tonight? So how does that feel? All right, so let's just take a moment and notice. And then when you're ready, we're going to start some yoga poses. So breathing the whole time, however that feels right for you tonight. We're going to start in our caterpillar pose, which is basically a forward fold. So if you have tight hamstrings, we're going to take a moment and do a couple before we get into a hold for this. So we're going to bring the legs straight out in front. And legs can be hip width distance apart if that's comfortable, or a little wider if you like. Option also to have legs next to each other, whatever works for you tonight. So we're going to use gravity here. We're going to inhale the arms up and then hinge at the hips and fold forward. Tap down wherever you get to, that's fine. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, fold forward. Tap down. Inhale, come back up. And let's do that one more time. Inhale, fold forward. Tap down. Inhale, come back up. Now we're going to come into our pose and we're going to hold it. So if you want, if you have it available, you can use something like a bolster. Even turn it on its side. If that's too far down, you can just fold forward, resting your head on the bolster. You can bring the bolster on your legs and fold forward here. However, that might be comfortable. Or if you just want straight on the legs. I'm going to use the bolster and just relax and release into your pose. And if you're feeling any tightness, breathe into that tension. So imagining the breath going to the hamstrings or the back or the neck. And then on the exhale, you're going to imagine scooping out that tension and letting the tension go with the breath. So let's take 3 more breaths here. And when you're ready to come out, you can use your hands and walk back up. Beautiful. All right. So after that, we're going to come down onto our back. So we're going to bring the feet up to the top of the mat and roll down onto the flat of the back. So our next pose is going to be bridge pose. But before we do that, let's do a little bit of movement. So we're going to bring the knees into the chest. Toes point up towards the ceiling. Shins are parallel with the floor. We're going to exhale, knees come in. Inhale, knees go out. Exhale in. Inhale out. And you can just do that a couple times. And then after you finish a few of those, we're going to come into our bridge pose. So before we come into it, we kind of want to decide what it's going to look like. So you can be in your bridge pose with just the hips up. You can bring the hands together underneath. That's one option. Let's see, where did they go? Blocks. If you have a block handy or a small little, I don't know if a book would be very comfortable, but a rolled up blanket or a small little pillow, you can do that. That might be where you want to be tonight. Or you can use a big pillow. I've got a bolster. I'm going to stick with the block tonight. That feels about at the height I want to be at. And bringing the arms down by your sides. Lining up the knees and the feet and the hips in a comfortable position. And just relax into this pose. So we're not pushing or pulling, we are surrendering into our pose tonight. So come back to the breath. And take 3 or 4 breaths here. See how that feels. If you have a longer breath, maybe you take less breaths total. See if you can make your exhale just a little bit longer than your inhale. So after your last breath here, we're going to push in with the feet. Lift the hips up, slide out anything if you have it under you. And we're going to come back to that knees to chest pose or Apanasana. And this time, if you want, you can leave your arms down on the floor and just move your hands. So this is your exhale, fingers up towards the knees. Inhale, hands slide back down. So the hands aren't really moving as much as the legs are moving. And just a couple of those. We're countering doing a back bend. And then when you finish that, we're going to bring feet down to the mat. And we're going to come into a twist. So I'm kind of moving stuff out of the way here. So again, we are all about the options. So I have a blanket, I have blocks, I have this big giant bolster. You may not want any of those, or you may want a number of those things. So you can grab, pillows or blankets off the couch or the bed or whatever is convenient and you have handy. So let's see, which twist are we going to do today? So we're going to so again, options. If you have a favorite one that you want to do, you're more than welcome to do that. We just want to do both sides evenly for the same amount of time approximately. So what I'm going to do is just bring both knees over towards the left. And then I'm going to extend, got stuff in the way here, my right leg out. And I have my hand on top of that leg. In a more active class, I might be reaching for my toes, but we're just going to settle here for now. So you can look straight up at the ceiling, you can look the same way as the knees, or you can look in the opposite direction. Let's take a couple breaths here. You want to try and keep that right shoulder from popping up. If it's coming up too high, it means that you're a little bit too deep into the twist and maybe you want to come back some. You can rest that hand on that knee or whatever is comfortable for you tonight. All right, let's take 2 or 3 more breaths here on this side. And we're slowly going to make our way back over to the other side. Come through center, readjust, arms come out, and then both knees over. I'm going to look and make sure I'm not kicking anything. I'm going to extend that leg for a little bit, like I did on the other side. And again, the head can be the same direction as the knees, straight up towards the ceiling, or the opposite direction as the knees, whatever feels comfortable for you tonight. And then if you're feeling a little agitated or unsure, if that is too much strain, you can back off a little bit, but come back into the breath. So let's take 2 or 3 more breaths on this side to even it out. And then when you're ready, have both arms out into a T, and bring both knees back up to center. And I'm going to do a little windshield wiper, side to side. And then I'm going to come up to hands and knees. So however comfortable to come up. And then we're going to do a little cat and cow before we come into our next pose. So you can walk the hands out a little bit further. If you want some more space for the wrist, you can bring your knees onto a blanket if they're uncomfortable on the floor. We'll start with an exhale breath. We're going to exhale, tuck the chin, shoulder blades up towards the ceiling. On the inhale, we're going to reverse the curve without dropping the belly towards the floor. Exhale back to cat. Inhale, back to cow. And maybe 2 more in each direction. Excellent. And then back to neutral. And our next pose is going to be our child's pose. So, again, lots of options for this one. A traditional child's pose, arms are by your legs, forehead touches the floor. That's one option. Since we're going to be in the pose for a little bit longer, I'm going to use a bolster, but you can also have your knees wide and your arms out in front, forehead to the floor. That's an option. I'm going to do the bolster and forehead on my hands. So you could do one cheek and then switch halfway through, or center, and just melt into this pose. Big toes can be touching, knees nice and wide. Letting any tension just roll off the back. I'm going to switch sides. Very good cheek. All right, let's take one more full breath here. See if you can feel the breath in the back body. Beautiful. All right, our next pose, let's come back up to hands and knees. Move anything out of the way. And we're going to come back onto our back. So we're going to do this fabulous crescent pose. I like to do it whenever we have some kind of moon event. So we have a new moon coming. So I can't really see exactly what I'm doing from the side, but we'll walk you through it. All right, so legs are out straight. We're going to inhale the arms up overhead. So we have a little hood on here, so it's kind of being bunched. All right, so arms up overhead. We're going to walk the feet over towards the left. We're going to walk the arms over towards the left. So if you're looking from above, I'm in a bit of a C shape or a crescent. Some people might call this banana asana. All right, so you're here, you're mostly comfortable. If that's too much on your shoulders, you can bend the elbow. If it's not enough and you want to add a little bit more of a lengthening on that right side body, you can grab the right wrist with the left hand and cross the right ankle over the left. That makes sense? Yes. Okay. Just coming untucked. All right. So breathing up and down that right side body. Beautiful. And then we'll come back to center, uncross, straighten out. And then we're going to walk over the feet. You can cross if that's comfortable and grab that wrist with the other hand if that's comfortable. And again, if it bothers your shoulder, you can bend the elbow instead. And let's breathe into that left side body. So you can feel where your ribs are. And feel the length from the ribs to that top of the hip. See if you can expand that length. Beautiful. All right, from here we're going to release and uncross, come back to center. Give me a beautiful good morning stretch, so fingers and toes away from each other. And then we're going to bring the arms back down by your side, and let's come in. Let's do that Apanasana, but knees are nice and wide. Gives us a little bit more space in that lower spine. You can keep the arms down and do the front of the legs, or hold on to the knees and guide the legs. Beautiful. All right, how are we doing? Doing great. All right, so let's do one more pose before our final relaxation pose. We're going to do butterfly. So you can see where you are and just listen before we move to get all set up. A bunch of different ways to do it. We're going to do it down on our backs. So if you want, you can use a bolster. I can show you how to set that up. Or you can just do a blanket under the head. But essentially what we're doing is the butterfly part is the knees are bent, feet together. And you could actually even do it seated or sitting up if that's more comfortable for you. So since I have all this stuff here, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to set up a bolster. So 2 blocks, the bolster, and then feet together, knees out to the side. And then head comes back. And then my head is a little far from the bolster, so I'm going to wrap a blanket I have here. And ideally, I would have more blocks to rest my arms on, but we're okay for now. So instead, I'm going to do a one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly, and just relax into the little butterfly pose here. So finding your breath here, feeling that arc of energy from heart to belly. And let's take 3 to 5 breaths here, depending on the length of your breath. Nice and smooth inhale, long and gentle exhale. And after you feel like your pose here is complete, we'll release the hands and bring the hands under the knees and walk the feet away from each other. If you propped up a little bit, it'll be a little easier to come out. You can extend the legs and just sit up. If you're laying all the way down, extend the legs, and then you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to come up. So we're going to come into our final relaxation pose. So we're just going to extend the body out. I turn the lights down just a little bit, just to make it that much more relaxing. Go this way. And I'm just going to, for comfort's sake, bring this little blanket under my head. If you have one, you can as well. If it's uncomfortable to lay flat on your back, you can bring your legs up on a chair or on some blankets or pillows or whatever's comfortable for you. And for our relaxation pose tonight, we are going to relax the whole body all at once, letting the earth's gravity hold us. We don't even have to do that kind of work, holding ourselves onto the earth. The earth does it for us. We're going to let go of the breath. You don't even have to do that work anymore. Just let that air around us fill us with breath, letting any last thoughts seep out the top of the crown of the head. We'll take the next few moments. We're not human doings, we are human beings, so we're just going to be. Well, my friends, thank you for joining me. You're welcome to stay in your relaxation pose as long as you like. You're welcome to get up and go straight to bed as well, if that's where you're at in the course of your evening. Either which way, whenever you're ready to sit up, we're going to roll over onto one side or the other. Take a moment here, check in with the breath again. And then when you're ready, coming up to a comfortable seated position. Take another moment here and check in with the body. And namaste. Thank you, friends. We'll see you next time.